We are 2 days away from the UFC fight night back at the Apex between Gabriel Bonfim and Randy Brown. This is a way better card than the previous fight night between Steve Garcia and David Onama. I think this one has a lot more bangers and still name value is not really there, but there's so many underrated fights on this card that we're going to be going through. We're going to be giving you my entire predictions for this card, starting off with Jackson McVeigh going up against Zach Reese. Now, there's not current odds. If I'm guessing, Zach Reese is honestly, he might not be the favorite because I've heard some people say that it actually might be Jackson McVeigh being the favorite because of his finishing ability, but I can't really trust Jackson McVeigh at all. I'm gonna go with Zach Reese here. They are both very similar. They both have submission ability on the ground. They don't really look to go to the ground. They rely on their striking. Zach Reese and Jackson McVeigh normally like to use their size, but Jackson McVeigh has only looked dominant in his other promotion that he fought in, and he had a huge size advantage against every single one of the fighters he went up against. Now he's going to be going up against a guy that is exactly like him, the exact same size and the exact same skill set. I think that's going to cause McVeigh to not really do as much damage as people think he's going to be able to do. We saw how against Bruno Ferreira, Ferreira was able to drop him with one punch, and I don't think Ferreira has that crazy of power in his hands. So I think Zach Reese will be able to drop him or maybe even catch him and then get lock in the submission. But I'm gonna pick Zach Reese to win this by submission. I don't think McVeigh's really that good as everyone thinks he's gonna turn out to be just because of his size. I'm not gonna say his size is good enough for him to be in the UFC, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Zach Reese here. I think he's just better technically, and I think that McVeigh's not gonna do well against a dude that's the exact same size as him, because I think that's the only reason he got in the UFC was because of his size. Moving on, we have Miles Johns going up against Daniel Marcos. Now, we've talked to Miles Johns in the past, before his fight with Gene Matsumoto. He said he was having a very good fight camp, and unfortunately, he lost that to split decision. Very close fight, though. Now he's going up against Daniel Marcos, who is a very high volume boxer. Um, I talked to Miles Johns again. He said he's going to come out very aggressive. I told him, well, he already implied it, but I told him the exact same thing. I was like, yeah, the only way you're going to be able to keep it close with Daniel Marcos is if you're throwing the exact same amount of volume. You can't be patient with a guy like Daniel Marcos. But at the same time, I really don't know if I don't think Johns is going to be able to outwork Daniel Marcos. Marcos has such a high volume and he has powerful hands that I think Miles Johns needs to use his wrestling, and he has not shown that in his past few fights. He has a pretty solid wrestling game, but he never uses it. And so when it comes down to punching, Miles Johns loves throwing that overhand over and over that never really clips anyone. So I really think that he's going to be swinging that crazy shot. It's going to keep on missing. I don't think he's going to go to the wrestling. And I think Daniel Marcos is going to take advantage with the high volume. I think in the first round, it could be maybe Miles Johns' way. But then I think the last two rounds, Daniel Marcos will piece him up just because he's throwing more. So give me Daniel Marcos. It's unfortunate because Miles Johns, if he does lose this fight, he'll be on a 3-fight losing streak. But to be fair, it's to Felipe Lima, Matsumoto, and Marcos. But another thing I forgot was that Felipe Lima loss, not really that good for Miles Johns. Losing to Felipe Lima is not really a good look for you. Where Daniel Marcos lost his first fight to Montel Jackson, which, he's one of the best KO artists in the entire UFC. But we're going to go with Daniel Marcos to win a 29-28 decision. Moving up, we have Tekia Pennington going up against Denise Gomes. I originally was going to go with Tekia Pennington, but I switched my pick to Denise Gomes because MMA Guru made a very good point. Pennington is definitely way more well-rounded. She's very balanced and she relies on her wrestling. Her stand-up really isn't all that good. But she will throw down occasionally. Denise Gomes has very powerful hands. She loves to damage girls' face and bust them open. The problem is Denise Gomes really doesn't have that good of a ground game. I think she'll be able to stop Pennington's takedowns, but even if Pennington does land the takedowns, I don't think Pennington has what it takes to take her down and submit her. So I think that this is going to go to decision, and they're going to look at who did more damage, and Gomes is going to do way more on the feet and way more damage throughout this fight. So I'm going to go with Denise Gomes just because I know that she's going to do more damage than Pennington, and I don't see Pennington finishing Gomes, and the only one that really has finishing ability in this fight is Gomes. Now, another reason I wanted to pick Pennington is because she did beat Carla Esparza a year ago, but to be fair, Esparza is 38 years old, so we don't really know where she is in her career, whether she's declining heavily or not. But Pennington's 36 years old, going up against a 25-year-old Gomes who will definitely increase and only continue to get better. She's on a 3-fight winning streak after losing that very close fight to Angela Hill. She just got outworked due to the high volume striking, but Pennington is not going to outstrike Gomes, so I don't think she has to worry about that. So give me Denise Gomes to win a 29-28 decision. I think there's an opportunity for a finish for Gomes, but it's most likely to get a decision. Moving up, we have Josh Hokett going up against Max Jimenez. Max Jimenez was a former BJJ world grappler. He was kind of 50-50, so he wasn't like an insane BJJ grappler, but he still is very good with submissions on the ground. Josh Hokett, former wrestler, former football player as well, but he is a very good wrestler. He looks to use his strength to get people down and to use his ground and pound to finish them. I do think Max has the chance to find a sneaky submission here because Hokett does love going to the ground with his wrestling, but at the same time, I think Hokett is strong enough to keep Jimenez down on the bottom position, and I think Hokett will be able to use that ground and pound to damage him up. I think Hokett is stronger. I think his stand-up's going to be way better than Max's, and I think that Hokett just needs to really survive that first round. Max has not fought anyone impressive so far. He's 6-1, but he's fighting dudes that are not really good. His last 4 were 9-9, or excuse me, 7-8-1, 9-9, 6-14, 1-3, 2-4. So most of them actually have losing records. So not really going to trust him when he has not been tested at all. And I don't know. I don't trust guys that come in with a BJJ background at all. They need to show that they have knockout power, and I don't think Max has it. So give me Josh Hokett to win this one by knockout in the second round. I think it'll be a TKO. I think he'll drop him and then finish him with some ground and pound. So give me Josh Hokett and expect a very wild post-fight interview. He is exactly like Colby Covington, where he is going to trash whoever. So just watch out for that if he wins. Moving up, we have Myro Bueno Silva going up against Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I went with Jacqueline Cavalcanti. She's the -250 favorite. Bueno Silva's on a 3-fight losing skid, so she absolutely needs to win this fight, or she may get cut or retire. She's 34 years old, so she might retire because there's no way she'll come back from this. But main reason I'm going with Cavalcanti here is she has looked very impressive on her way up so far. She's beaten good fighters. Melissa Croden, she beat in the LFA, which just got her win in the UFC, so that's a very good win coming into the UFC. And then she also beat on her come up Nora Cronoli by split decision, which is a very tough fighter on the feet, as well as a good fighter on the ground. So Cavalcanti has shown that she's a very balanced fighter, but she relies on her striking whatsoever. And Bueno Silva has been losing these fights to, not really showing anything good out of him at all. Yes, she's been fighting the best of the best, and she's a balanced fighter, but she has not been showing anything good. She fought Raquel Pennington, Macy Chasson, and Jasmine Jesdu Vicious, and she really didn't show anything in the past 2 years between those 3 fights. And then she also got a no contest to Holly Holm because she got caught using illegal substance. So I'm going to go Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I think Bueno Silva's on her way out. She hasn't really shown finishing ability at all, while Cavalcanti has shown that she is very dangerous on the feet, and I think she'll be able to get this one done. So give me Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Give me her to win by a dominant 30-27 decision. I just hate predicting women's fights to get finishes because it's so hard to predict unless if one has a very good submission game. But I just don't trust Bueno Silva. I think she's on her way out. Moving up, we have Ricky Simon going up against Rayoni Barcelos. Before we get into this fight, this card feels like a trap card. There's so many fights where it's like I could see the other person winning so easily, but I'm going with the other person regardless because I can see where both fighters come out with the win. So I have a feeling this is going to be another card where people have a very bad prediction night. Hoping that's not the case because I really need to get back on track with my predictions. We're starting to go inconsistent again where I do good on one card and then bad on the next. So hopefully we can get back to being consistent and getting good picks because we had a rough past few weeks Last week we went 8-5, which wasn't too bad. And the one pick with Bulgarian unfortunately happened, so we could have been potentially 9-4, which would have been a lot better. But on to this week, I think we're gonna do a lot better this week. I have confidence, even though I do think it has the potential to be a tricky trap card. I'm gonna go with Ricky Simon here. I think Ricky Simon. A lot of people are saying Barcelos is gonna have another crafty vet performance, but Ricky Simon is an absolute dog. He's shown knockout power. He has a Marab type ground game where he can just maul you on the ground and take you down nonstop. His losses are to only the best. On his way up, he was on a nice win streak. He was on a 3-fight win streak, beating Marab in his debut. But then he lost to Uriah Faber and Rob Font back to back, which were not bad losses in 2019 at all. Um, then he went on another huge win streak. He went on a 5-fight win streak, beating guys like Ray Borg, Jack Shore, Rafael Sunkau. Then he went on a 3-fight losing streak, but it was again to the best. Song Yadong, Mario Bautista, and Vinicius Oliveira. Two of those going by decision, and one of them being a knockout in round 5 to Song Yadong. So he's shown durability, and he's shown that he can take damage to some of these very good strikers. Then he's coming off back-to-back wins from a first-round knockout over Hafid Basharat and Cameron Smotherman. So he's coming off of very good performances, and now he's going up against Raoni Barcelos, where Barcelos is only slowing down. He's only getting older. He's 38 years old now. Yes, he is coming off wins to Cody Garbrandt and Peyton Talbot, but Talbot looked very off in that fight. And then Cody Garbrandt is just not the same as he used to be. He's not as quick as he used to be, and he doesn't really throw as much anymore. So really don't know how to hype up Barcelos for this fight. He's gone up against he is going up against a younger guy, but he's not completely young. He's 33 years old. But Ricky Simon just has everything. He has boxing. He has incredible takedowns. And I think it's just going to be way too much for Barcelos. Barcelos will not be able to stop the takedowns. Barcelos will get outpieced, and he could potentially even get knocked out. I'm going to go with Ricky Simon to drop him and then lock in the submission. So give me Ricky Simon to get a second round submission. I just trust his game because he is such an underrated fighter. And it just sucks that he can't beat the top contenders because that's the only people he's been losing to. So give me Ricky Simon to get the second round submission. Moving up to the main event of the prelims, we have Jamal Emmers going up against Hyder Emil. I'm gonna go with Hyder Emil here. It's a pick'em fight. I'm gonna go with Hyder Emil though. I thought he was very impressive on his way up until he obviously got hit with the perfect shot from Jose Delgado. But that's the thing. People are starting to say that Hyder Emil has no chin. But Jose Delgado is one of the scariest finishers in the UFC. That's not in the heavyweight division. And Hyder Emil's performance against William Gomes was very impressive. That's shaping out to be a very good win. His finish over, I believe it was Jiang Yong Lee, was incredible. It was a 50-punch combination to knock out Jiang Yong Lee. I watched that live. It was insane. Whereas Jamal Emmers, knocks out Gabriel Miranda. That's an okay win. Loses to Nate Landwehr. I think Hyder Emil is a fighter that's on Nate Landwehr's caliber, where he just got to come forward and throw very high volume pressure. And I don't think Jamal Emmers is going to be able to outthrow him. Yes, Emmers is going to be able to land hard shots on Emil, but I really do think Emil has a good chin, despite him getting knocked out in the first round to that disgusting knee from Delgado. I still do think Hyder Emil has a very, very good chin. I think he's going to be able to throw more than Emmers. Both of them are going to be standing up this entire fight. I don't think he goes to the ground. Could be a 3-round banger. But I'm going to go with Hyder Emil here. I'm going to give Hyder Emil the second round KO. I really do trust him. I'm not going to give up on him. Fighters who tend to lose their first fight in their career, they tend to bounce back with a hard training camp, and they look even better after the loss. So I'm going to trust that Hyder Emil's going to look even better than losing that fight to Delgado. And I think he's going to be able to get that second round KO over Jamal Emmers. So give me Hyder Emil to win by second round. I just think he's going to throw more, and I think he's going to be able to absorb more damage than Jamal Emmers does. Because Emmers, really, if he gets pieced up on the feet, if someone's trying to make it a war with him, he ends up losing that war. He also lost another fight to Jack Jenkins, who kept it very close on the feet, but then he also mixed in takedowns. So I think Hyder Emil would just do more on the feet to get the finish. So give me Hyder Emil second round KO. Moving up to the first fight on the main card, we have Marco Tulio going up against Christian Leroy Duncan. Obviously, as you can see, Marco Tulio is our lock of the week. And I think this is for a very good reason. The main thing, I know a lot of people love Christian Leroy Duncan. They think he's a great prospect. But the problem I have with him is he has no power unless if it is a spinning, like it has to be a very, very high risk, high reward strike. It either has to be a spinning elbow or a spinning roundhouse kick. Like it has to be a spinning crazy attack in order for him to knock someone out. If not, then he tries keeping the range and throws low volume to get a, close unanimous decision win. So he also has knocked out guys that really aren't that good. So I don't really know if his knockout power is there. Um, unless if it's one of those spinning like heavy attacks that I mentioned. Whereas Marco Tulio, insane high volume pressure. He's got to come forward the entire fight. He's got to throw 100 strikes in 2 rounds. His most recent performance to Trishan Gore, he landed 127 significant strikes in a 2-round fight. It didn't even make it halfway throughout the second round, and it was 127 strikes. So he probably would have been on pace for about 260 significant strikes if that kept the pace. But Marco Tulio has shown he can throw nonstop in fights. I think in the later rounds, it's going to favor Tulio like crazy. I think Leroy Duncan's going to try throwing those crazy spinning attacks after he realizes that Tulio is going to do way more damage and throw way more. So then Leroy Duncan's going to go to throwing those crazy shots. He's going to lose the endurance, which he's lost in many of his fights before. He's going to lose that endurance. And then those second and third rounds, it's going to be all Tulio. Tulio's going to pick him apart. I'm going to give Marco Tulio the third round KO here. I think Leroy Duncan is going to be completely gassed by the third round. And I think Tulio gets the finish. He is a 150 slight favorite right now, and I think for good reason. He's a nice prospect right now. And if he wins this fight, it's only going to boost him even more. He'll be 15-1 if he wins this fight. And I'm going to trust him. So give me Marco Tulio to win this by third round knockout. Moving up, we have Ismael Bonfim going up against Chris Padilla. I'm going to go with Chris Padilla here. I talked to him going into this fight. He hates that he's an underdog in this fight. He said that he absolutely hates betting odds. He thinks that it just disrespects him. And he's been an underdog a little bit in his career. So I'm going to go with him as the underdog here. His pressure is very, very good. His power in his hands is very strong. Ismael Bonfim has very good KO power as well. We saw that with his finish over, I believe that was Terrence McKinney, which Terrence McKinney is known for being the first round knockout merchant. But Bonfim landed an incredible flying knee to knock him out, which got performance of the night. Then he gets submitted by Benoit Saint-Denis, beats Vince Pichel by unanimous decision, and then loses to Nazim Sadikov. So that lost to Nazim Sadikov, though. Nazim was just pressuring him, and Bonfim really couldn't land those crazy shots. Bonfim likes to keep the range, kind of like his brother, and I don't think that's going to work against Padilla when Padilla's going to come forward the entire fight. I don't think that's... You can't keep range against these guys that pressure you nonstop unless you're throwing these body kicks and kicking them away. But Bonfim, Ismail at least doesn't really do a good job of that. I know Gabriel does a slight better job, and he's slightly better, but I think Padilla's going to be able to get to the inside. He's going to be able to maneuver his way in and land those heavy hooks to knock and wobble Bonfim. I'm going to get Chris Padilla by second round knockout. I believe that he will be able to get the finish here. He has a slight advantage in height and reach, but not by much. This is very close odds, and I'm going to trust Padilla here. I think he's a way tougher fighter on the feet, and that's what it's going to come down to, because they're not really going to go to the ground. Bonfim has a slight submission game, but I don't think he's going to really go to it at all. I think he's going to try and keep the range early. He's going to get rocked by Padilla's hooks once he gets to the inside, and that's going to be it. But Padilla by second round KO. Bonfim might look good in the first round, but then Padilla will finally get to the inside in the second. Moving up, we have Muslim Salikov going up against Uros Medic. I was actually thinking about Muslim Salikov to be my lock of the week, but I thought Marco Tulio had better value. Muslim Salikov is the plus 170 underdog, which is really surprising to me. I get it, he's 41 years old, but he's on a 3-fight win streak, and most recently just knocking out Carlos Leal in the first minute, which is very impressive. And Uros Medic is coming off of a first-round knockout to Gilbert Urbina, but he got knocked down in the first minute of that fight. So I don't know how he's the favorite going into this fight, if I'm being honest. I know he is 9 years younger, but even being 32 years old, that's not giving you that much of an advantage over a 41-year-old. He does have a slight height advantage and reach advantage, but Muslim Slikov has insane taekwondo. His kicks are insane. His power in his hands is no joke. He always finds a way to land those shots. He sneaks them in so beautifully. Euros Medic might come forward with more shots, but Slikov is going to be more technical, more accurate, and he has more power than Euros Medic. And he's going to have a way better chin than Euros Medic as well. Medic got dropped by Gilbert Urbina just from a simple overhand, and Slikov is known for landing that overhand time and time again. So give me Muslim Slikov to get the knockout in round 1. I don't trust Medic's chin whatsoever, and I think this is a very easy pick for me. Continue the Unk reign. He's going to be on a 4-fight win streak after winning this fight. Give him a ranked fighter. We're getting him to the belt. So give me Muslim Slikov, the king of Kung Fu, to get the first round knockout. Moving on to the co-main, we have Matt Schnell going up against Joseph Morales. Matt Schnell's coming back. He's 1-3. Most recently beating Jimmy Flick by 6 months ago by unanimous decision. But he made that a very close fight, which is why these odds honestly make sense to me. Joseph Morales is currently a -250 favorite, and I think it's actually very reasonable, despite Morales never even fighting in the UFC. Morales is coming off a very impressive win to Alibi Adiris, who's a very dangerous finisher. He was unranked. It was the Ultimate Fighter finale. Morales went out there and beat him everywhere, whether it was the feet, whether it was the ground. He dominated that entire fight and then was able to lock in the triangle choke, snuck it in on the bottom, and then was able to get the tap in the second round. So Morales is coming in this fight 13-2. He's got a very good team around him. He trains the Team Alpha Male, so he's at a very good gym. Uriah Faber's in his corner. Trust in Joseph Morales. I've talked to him many times. I always check in on him because he's been one of my favorite fighters to talk to. I talked to him right before his Ultimate Fighter finale, right after it. And then I talked to him right before this fight. He said that his training's been going very well. And I don't think that Matt Schnell is going to be really dangerous anywhere. Matt Schnell looks to go to the ground and lock in submissions, but he can throw on the feet every now and then, but he's shown that he has a very weak chin, and I think Joseph Morales will be able to damage that weak chin, and that if Matt Schnell tries shooting panic takedowns, Morales will absolutely dominate him on the ground. He has underrated wrestling, underrated striking, and I do genuinely think we will finally get another good fighter out of the Ultimate Fighter. It's been a while, but I do think that Morales can be a ranked fighter in the future. So give me Joseph Morales here. Give me 29-28 decision. I'm going to trust Joseph Morales here. Big fan of him, and I'm wishing him the best of luck. Finally, the main event of the evening, we have Gabriel Bonfim going up against Randy Brown. I was originally going to go with Gabriel Bonfim because of the takedowns. But he could not keep Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the ground whatsoever. And Wonderboy does not have good takedown defense or grappling whatsoever. So for Wonderboy to get up many times throughout that 3-round fight, what's going to happen when it's a 5-round fight? Brown's going to be able to get every single time. He's got way better finishing ability. Randy Brown's known for his powerful hands. He likes keeping the distance and then shooting these nice overhands and these nice leg kicks. Bonfim likes keeping the distance as well, so it's not like Bonfim's going to rush in. So Brown doesn't have to worry about a early finish because Bonfim is always patient. So Brown will be the one engaging first. Bonfim will shoot takedowns occasionally, but he's not going to be able to keep Randy Brown on the ground because he wasn't able to keep Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the ground. And yes, Wonderboy's still fast, even for his age, but Brown's going to be stronger than Bonfim. So even though Randy Brown is the plus 140 underdog, I do really trust him here. If we want to use MMA math, Randy Brown beat Nicholas Dalby by knockout, and Bonfim lost to Dalby by knockout. So if we want to use MMA math, it leans towards Randy Brown. And I just really don't know if Gabriel Bonfim is that good or not. People think he actually robbed Stephen Wonderboy Thompson of that fight 3 months ago. Personally, I did think that Wonderboy won it, but I was happy Bonfim won it because I picked Bonfim in that fight. But yeah, I do think Randy Brown's going to win this fight. I think he's stronger than Bonfim. I think he has better stand-up. Bonfim is way too conservative. Randy Brown is a lot stronger. And yes, Bonfim has submissions, but I don't think he'll be able to put Brown in that situation because he cannot keep fighters on the ground to save his life. And sometimes he doesn't even shoot takedowns until he gets wobbled, which then it'll be too late. Brown will just outmaneuver him, get on top position, and ground and pound him to the TKO. So give me Randy Brown to win by TKO in the third round. I think he'll rock Bonfim in the later rounds. Um, just because Bonfim, he's going to take damage in those first few rounds. It might not be a lot of damage, but he's going to feel these punches from Randy Brown. He's going to be like, oh crap, I do not want to get punched by this guy. He might even start shooting panic takedowns in the third round, and then Randy Brown stops it and reverses it. But I'm going to trust Randy Brown here. He got robbed by Brian Battle. That was a split decision, but Randy Brown won that fight, so he should be 5-0 in his last 5. But he's going to have a main event here against Gabriel Bonfim. I'm going to trust him to get the knockout in the third round, and we got a lot of fun fights on this card. I think that Miles Jones, Daniel Marcos is going to be a fun fight. I think that Ricky Simon and Randy Barcelos would be a fun fight potentially, or Simon dominates on. Actually, I think Simon's going to dominate that fight on the ground. Jamal Emmers, Hyder Mill is going to be a fun fight. Marco Tulio, Christian Liu, Duncan's going to be a fun fight. Ismael Bonfim, Chris Padilla, Muslim Slikov, Euros Medic. Mashnow, Justin Morales might be, and then Gabriel Bonfim, Randy Brown. Every fight on the main card is pretty freaking good. And then there's like 3 more fights on the prelims. So about 9 of the 12 fights on this card are very entertaining. Very excited for this fight night. It's very underrated. And after this, we have UFC 322 between JDM and Islam Makhachev. Very excited for that. Gonna be watching that with my family. But with that being said, these are my predictions for Gabriel Bonfim versus Randy Brown. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys for the review in a few days.